This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rangers Assessment, your exclusive SM Media Rangers podcast. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. I'm delighted to welcome back onto the channel from the Every Other Saturday podcast, Jack Hamilton. Jack, welcome back, mate. It's a pleasure.
Aye, cheers for having us on again. Looking forward to talking all things Rangers over the past week. It's not been pleasant, but looking forward to talk about
You
it.
have no idea how close I was to naming this podcast Same Old SHIT. Like, you have no idea. We'll go through everything individually, spend a bit of time analysing it, but from a decent performance on Saturday, I wouldn't say it was brilliant, but it was fine to feel the bottom of the barrel in the space of 4 days. Only Rangers could do that.
Yeah, it's literally as simple with being a Rangers fan. Obviously, it's not been the most perfect start to the season you're expecting. Obviously, there's been a large turnover on players. There's new ideas coming to the forefront. There's a lot of onus being put on this team now to go and deliver straight away. And obviously, we've got good results by that Kilmarnock one at the start of the season, but I think large in a way the performance level has been poor. We've not really hit a level where you can be kind of satisfied watching Rangers, and it's kind of been really stop-start. Obviously, as you say, Saturday was good to go up 2-0 away from home. I can't remember the last time we actually went and scored a couple in the first half and felt comfortable.
Obviously, seeing the game away from home is very rare in the league.
Yeah, it's that as well. Going 1-0 down is usually a formality. Anytime we play, so it was nice to get that kind of one. Away, obviously 2-0 could have been more. As you say, we played some good stuff at times. Came out Roof obviously popped him up with a goal, which was good to see. A lot of people are kind of having him as your main striking option for the game in Sunday. So there's positives to take for that game, definitely. You just kind of hoped we would have maybe scored a few more, get the positivity kind of building a wee bit more going into obviously that crunch PSV game that didn't go the way we wanted last night.
No, we'll get into that, but I want to just say about Ross County, it's two really good goals. It's Roof, I thought, was really good coming back. Big game to throw him in terms of, I thought when he was it was mentioned him and Lawrence would be in the squad. I thought, you might see them kind of late on, but I was surprised to see him start. I think you see what he does, and I tweeted it just after his goal. Yes, there's been a lot of money spent in the forwards, which I want to get into, but none of them can do that. None of them can do what he does for the goal. Nobody in that Rangers team can do it. That's why he's there. He's going to frustrate. He might play on Sunday, and you might never see him for the rest of the season, but he does bring that, and we want to see that Kamara more often. That's something that I think is so beneficial to Rangers. But it was good. I mean, there was a lot to take from it. I thought Matondo was really good again. I thought the defence were really solid. Butland again looked very composed. And it just seemed a professional performance. I think going into last night, it was as good a lesson as you could get in terms of going for a league game. It was up in Dingwall. It's never easy going there before a game like PSV. But I thought I wanted to see more goals. I think they should have scored more. But at 2-0, I was quite happy with it. And that was fine. And that's kind of where we're at with the Ross County game. And again, obviously, the result later on that day on the other side of the city certainly kind of made it a bit more positive. But it was a good result, and it was a good professional performance, and that's what we wanted.
Exactly. I mean, we kind of done what we had to do. We had to win the game, and then we went there and done that. As you say, you can be a bit more picky and want more goals and more flashy play and stuff. I thought there were moments, as you say, when Matondo came on, I thought he looked really good. He looked positive. Danilo as well. I thought he had a couple of chances where he could have scored as well. So on another day, you go and score a couple more goals up there, and you're buzzing. But we win the game, and then obviously Celtic drop points. So you're looking at the game in a total different light after that.
And then the eternal optimist that I am, we go into Wednesday night against PSV. I was strangely confident going in. I don't know why. I just did. I think it was a case of deja vu. my takeaway from the PSV game in the first leg was, yes, we could see how good PSV were going forward, but I wouldn't go out on a limb and say they looked particularly good at the back. And I thought if Rangers injected a bit of pace, I thought they could exploit it. Boy, how wrong I was.
Yeah, it was just an absolute disaster on the night, to be quite honest with you. Aye.
Let's go through every goal individually, but team-wise, there was a couple of surprises in there when he came out and said, I think I can judge a team sheet pretty good, but when he came out and said that Cifuentes will play right wing and Cantwell will play off Dessers, to say alarm bells were ringing for me was almost immediate, because I think I've seen enough of Jose Cifuentes in a Rangers shirt and in particularly in America. He's never played right midfield in his life.
Yeah.
And to throw him in right midfield in a game like that, and Cantwell right behind Dessers, I thought it would be a weird one, because I thought it would leave a lot of space in the middle of the park for like Sangare just to have a field day, which he did. And to say my mind was made up and the team came out, I think it was. I just didn't see it working. And
Yeah.
the goals are a shambles. Every goal. But team news wise, I thought the cards were marked from that point on.
Yeah, I think obviously the back five kind of stays as is. I think everybody kind of expected that, but I think Michael Beale's got this thing where so early into his Rangers career, so far as manager, I think he overthinks every situation more than he really needs to. I mean, there's no reason Jose Cifuentes needs to be playing at right midfield there. Obviously, he wants to go and play a team that's hard to beat and maybe you transition into a different formation and what else, but there was absolutely nothing going on in the attacking side of the game. Cantwell, I feel, has been kind of lost in a Rangers jersey this season so far. He's had moments where he's been good, but I
think he's worked his socks off trying to make things happen, but I don't think he's been helped with. I don't think there's a great level of continuity around about him. I think he's been one of those players I don't think there's been a consistent, like, we've had the same, like when he was here in January, you had, whether it was Lundstrom, Cantwell, Raskin, whether it was Tillman as well, you had a consistency there around about him. Now, it wasn't always a good consistency, but it was there. When you're gelling new players in, I think it's very difficult, because I don't think and we'll get into Michael Beale, but I don't think he knows what his best team is. And I think that's a major worry for me. But I think Cantwell's one of the ones that's going to suffer from that, because he's playing with different players every week, and there's no real. I don't know where he wants Todd Cantwell to play. That to me is a worry, because he's good at attacking space. He's good at working, trying to win the ball back in the press. But for last night, it was a headless chicken. To be fair, he was trying to do everything and nothing was coming off. He had no service, and I just worry that what's the best team? How does it complement the players already there? There's a lot of questions for me in terms of the system. I don't think the system. I don't see this. The narrow. I've had fears about the narrow system since it started, particularly for the fullbacks, who I thought Tavernier had an absolute bomb scare night, and it's not the first time this season. But when you've got a real lack of width, what you're asking the fullbacks to do is bomb up and down all game. But when you're asking them to do that, they have to be 100% on point defensively. And if they're too far up, you have to have somebody covering. Raskin isn't going to do that. John Lundstrom, I don't see what he brings now. You know what I mean? Goldson's coming out in the first leg. Goldson was coming out 6 or 7 times to fill that right back position, but he was getting exposed. His position was getting exposed. So if he wants to play a narrow system, those fullbacks, I don't think are the answer anymore. Now, we see what Tavernier brings from a forward point of view, and that's one of the caveats here. But defensively, I've said it for a while, left side in particular, the fullbacks are a major concern, and especially now if you're asking them to put a power of work in on both ends of the floor. Yeah,
obviously we have relied on the fullbacks providing a lot of attacking threat over the years anyway, but this is a total kind of new shift for them. You shouldn't be asking. Sorry to interrupt you. You shouldn't be asking them to completely be the main attacking threat.
Yeah, of course, and fill a defensive space. They've got 70 yards of space to make up every single time the opposition's on a break.
Nah, and they look lost in terms of what to actually kind of do with the ball at times, because there's nobody there in front of them that's going to be good enough to hold up the ball or then go and beat a couple of men and sort of pass it on. The problem I kind of have with the fullbacks at the moment is their ages as well. They're pushing 30, 31 now, and you're asking them to go and play this way that's going to be so demanding on their physicality and their fitness. And I just don't see it sort of holding out. Obviously, Barisic goes off injured last night as well. No idea on
Was he injured?
or did they just go down and fiend injury for the
That's
weekend?
maybe unfair, but I mean, I've had that worry before that Barisic seems to disappear in big games when they go and get stuff. The first goal, I think we've seen that goal how many times in the past 2 seasons. Tavernier gets done from a ball in and from 6 yards out. How many times has I look at Kyogo, for example. Kyogo scored that goal, maybe not a header, but Kyogo's got into that space many times against Rangers. Rangers are so bad at leaving space from a cross on the right side. And how many times can you lose the same goal? And I thought Sabari is not one of the first players I thought of when I thought of this PSV team and how their attacking threats would be, but he certainly is a player who can find space, but he gets a gift. He gets an absolute gift for that first goal.
Nah, it's just so poor because although PSV had a lot of the possession and they looked potent every time they kind of got forward, it was leading towards a point where we're too defensive to the point where they are going to just find a space and pick us off, and you see the guys basically standing there with a free hit to go, and as you say, kind of reminiscent on the goals Kyogo has scored against us last season, where he's just kind of unchallenged and it's as what it is, and Jack Butland's kind of nowhere to be seen in terms of a one-on-one. He was fantastic on the night in terms of everyone else, but I mean, leaving your goalkeeper with that task to do is another thing. But I think defensively we're just at the moment look really, really weak against everyone, really. I mean, John Souttar as well has obviously come into the side and he stayed fit.
And he started well, to be fair, but last night I think he looked
suspect.
Out of his depth, and I think domestically he'll be fine, but in those big games he's a worry. And it's hard really to figure out now with John Souttar. Yes, domestically he'll be fine. He's The problem with John Souttar is that we saw in the first game last season against Livingston, coming from the left hand side, he's not cut out for that. And he's done fine, and I don't think he's had a bad game so far, but he's capable of a mistake. And we saw 2 or 3 last night.
Saw 2 or 3 last night, and then you're thinking about the one at Kelly in the first game of the season, and then I think back to obviously he was put in very last minute against Celtic away from home last season. He gives away a gift to Jota, so he's got mistakes in his game. Goldson obviously we all do. It's just the way being a football player, of course. But I think John Souttar has had a bit of a 50-50 start to the season in terms of obviously that aspect of the game. I like what I'm seeing for him at times, and then there's other times against PSV where I think if we're looking to take that sort of step up and be a team that goes and defends well, I don't know if John Souttar is going to be cut out at that kind of level. But
the big thing I had was, and a couple of people asked me before the game, just in different areas, what do you think the score is going to be? And I was honest, I said, I think if PSV play well and they'll win. The only way I can see Rangers winning and going through is if they are defensively on it, they don't make any mistakes. And we just can't keep saying that now because this team will have a brain fart, and they had 5 last night. And at that level, they're going to get, they were exposed. And I just kept saying, don't make silly mistakes. Don't allow easy space. And they did it.
No.
Jack Butland, although he conceded 5 goals, has saved that from being double figures. That tells you everything. He was coming for crosses. He's been the takeaway of the early season for me. He's a breath of fresh air in goals. Like, he made a big save, coming for crosses. Just even, I think, as much as we're going to slate the defence for the rest of the show, and I think we've every right to, but I think having him there saves the defence from making more mistakes. Now, that's a terrible, terrible thing to say, but
Mhm.
he's just a real solid signing. That's what Rangers need from a goalkeeping point of view. Somebody who's going to attack crosses, not leave any space at the back. And despite losing 5, I think we can take a whole lot of positive from Jack Butland going forward.
I think he's been, as you say, a total breath of fresh air. You're looking for somebody to come into that goalkeeping position and really take on for, obviously, where Al McGregor had saved us multiple times over the years, and you want a guy you can rely on. And I think Butland's got different parts of his game that I didn't really expect to kind of see for him. He's really fast with his distribution. I like his sort of leading for the back as well. I think he's a cool, calm head to have behind a defence, as you say, that can be as ropey as it is. I would like to hope those moments are few and far between the season, but I think he's been solid, as you say. Some of the saves he made were outstanding, and he saved us on the night for it being even more embarrassing than it already was. So I'm happy with Jack Butland. As you say, he's definitely for me been the takeaway so far at the start of the season.
Absolutely. Second goal, so Barry gets in. He's got about 4 yards of space in the box, which is unforgivable. It's 2-0. Obviously, Barisic goes off and Sterling comes on. I'm not going to knock Dujon Sterling because I think although we were coming out and saying he was a versatile player, I don't think he's naturally left-sided, and I don't think it was a coincidence that Bakayoko, who by all reports has played his last PSV game, he's going to Brentford, I think, which really shows just how the world's going right now. Imagine a PSV player going to Brentford, and it's a step up. But it just shows you as well, though, like, there's we're looking at the fullbacks, but I thought Borna did fine, like, in terms of controlling Bakayoko, but when he went off, Bakayoko was getting a lot more room to move about. And it goes 2-0, and you're thinking, I think PSV think the game's done, but I also think Rangers think the game's done. And Beale makes 2 changes now. You mentioned there about big games, and Michael Beale has overthunk it. His subs in big games that he's lost has been horrendous, and last night was no different because for some reason he thinks that Jose Cifuentes should stay on the park. Now, I do think Jose Cifuentes will be a good player for Rangers, but last night and last week against PSV, he was shocking. And he's been played out of position. He takes off Raskin, and I don't think Raskin had his greatest game, but I certainly don't think he was number 1 in the hit list. Takes off Dessers as well. Now, if you're chasing a goal, now we'll get into another sub that I found baffling, but you're chasing that. You need 2 goals. Why are you not putting on your 5 million, 4 million pound strikers together? The shape, I don't want to hear anything about the shape because Beale doesn't know himself what the shape is. I'm of the old school. Throw whoever you've got on, throw the 2 of them on together. Sacrifice Cifuentes. Do you know what I mean? You don't need. It turned into a doing. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Go for it. And yes, Rangers go on and score, and it's a really good goal. Look back, Lammers is terrific for the goal. I do quite like Sam Lammers. I think technically he's the best player Rangers have got. With the exception, probably I can't well, but it's a good goal. But as we say, 1 minute later, it's another brain fart. I'm not a football manager. I'm not a football coach, but I know enough about football to know if there's a striker who's scored from a set piece in the first leg, who's pretty good in the air, you have your best defender on him at set pieces. You don't have an attacker. You don't leave him space. There's 2 or 3 times, I've watched the game back, there's 2 or 3 times that De Jong peels away from Goldson that he's not there, and Goldson doesn't mark him here. I don't. Whatever the set piece coach is, for the whole week, I don't care if you're Michael Beale, I don't care who you are, I don't care if you're Ian Beale, and I know that sounds stupid and cringy, but any manager would be thinking, get your best defender on the aerial threat in the box. That is criminal. It's criminal. Leaving Luke De Jong, and he had a field day all night, but that sums Rangers up last night. How he's allowed that space. It's a free header. It's shocking. Just that's the only word I've got. Shocking defending.
It's like, obviously, as you say, going back to your first point there, with subs and stuff. Jose Cifuentes lasting the full 90 is baffling. It is ludicrous how he's still on the pitch. He was chasing shadows, really. I noticed that about him in the first leg. He was he was trying to compete with the PSV players physically, and he was getting out muscled a lot of the time, and
Yeah,
he looked a bit lightweight, and that's it. I didn't really expect that for him. Obviously, being Ecuadorian, I thought he was a real dominator in the middle of the park, and
I
I've
think
yet
he
to kind
can
of
be
see it.
though. But last night didn't play to his strengths. That
Yeah, of
sort of
course.
game.
And then obviously, as you say, get back into the game. Sam Lammers, as you say, excellent. Made the kind of impact you want off the bench. Looks really good with the ball at his feet. And obviously Tavernier. The problem I have with Tavernier scoring that goal is why is none of your strikers ever scoring goals like that. It's always Tavernier at the back post. But I gets us back into the game, and then as you say, it just didn't feel that. For me, anyway, watching the game, it didn't feel that we were going to go into a position where we were going to then take confidence for that and go on. It's just back to basics again.
It's
It's
not even
just
that as well, and it's the foul. Rangers are the worst team in the world at giving away silly fouls in dangerous areas. Last night there was about 20, 30 times I'm watching that and going, why are you giving a Raskin in the first minute? He's lucky not to get booked. Just silly times where Rangers just dive in, make silly fouls, and it slows the game down. It kills all momentum. Rangers' ball retention last night was horrendous, but the one thing I take away from Rangers, and they do it domestically as well, some of the fouls they give away are just stupid.
Nah, and it leaves the opposition to get into, as you say, good positions to go and affect the game. Where it's largely you're untested if you're not giving away that daft foul on the edge of the box or whatever for them to get a ball in. I just watch Rangers now, and I struggle to really see anything in terms of where we're going with this current management team. And I get the obviously the discussion. There's been a turnover in players. It's been a massive summer in getting signings in and Michael Beale getting his ideas across. But I would believe, hopefully, throughout pre-season and until this point, we would have had a team in position to kind of know what our identity is when we play. I'm still yet to kind of see what really is going to work for us. I think the warning signs were kind of there in pre-season, but also Michael Beale as well coming out in the media saying we wanted to get all business done early to get the best possible version of ourselves to go and compete with teams like PSV. We played massive teams obviously in pre-season like Hoffenheim and stuff to get us kind of ready for the level, and I just think we've failed dramatically in terms of defensively giving away daft goals, the midfield just not being good enough, and the attack being really, really turgid to watch, really.
I'm of the opinion that, yes, Rangers have spent 15 million on attackers, and I've seen enough from all of them, including Sima. I can see what he brings, although I thought he was horrendous against PSV in the first leg. We've seen that they've all got something now. It's just a case of gelling that together. Raskin and Cantwell will know what to bring. Cifuentes, I think, will be pretty good when he gets played in his natural position. The worry for me, and I've said it from the beginning, you spend all that money in attacking talent, and they've got brain farts in the defence. And yes, I get it. I get if he doesn't fancy Yilmaz or Davis or whatever. I don't fancy Davis in the slightest, but to not spend a penny on that defence when it's cost you so many stupid goals. The cup semi-final, the 2 goals Hyogo scores, we'll watch them back, how horrendous they are from a defensive point of view. The semi-final where Jota gets a free head on the box, the 3 goals at Parkhead, the 2 goals at Ibrox against Celtic, Aberdeen. I'm thinking of all these games under Beale, by the way. The Beale lost, or Beale didn't pick up a win from. Every single goal Rangers conceded in those games were ridiculous from a defensive point of view. To not spend a penny in that position until the 31st of August worries me. Worries me massively. Now, the way you can look at it is if Rangers bring in a defender tomorrow in deadline day, which possibly could happen, there's not been much to say. Harry Souttar's been mentioned. I don't know how real that is, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I've said it all day when I've been speaking about this in deadline day. Any deadline day signing is a panic buy. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you've spent 6 months looking at them. If you're buying them in deadline day, you're forcing it. You are panicking because you might not get them. So any signing, that area, the full back area is a problem. The centre back area has been a problem for a long, long time, and it's not been addressed. Now we've heard the talk about Austin Trusty, Jonathan Panzo, all these guys that we mentioned over the summer. Didn't sound to be any real seriousness in it, because There wasn't talk of major bids. It was Sheffield United pick up Trusty. I don't think Panzo's left Nottingham Forest, but he clearly was looking, same as he was apparently, we've seen with Lewis Palmer, perfect example, definitely interest in Lewis Palmer. There's a width problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he was definitely looking at these areas. So why has he not went further and got them in? He wanted a left-sided centre-back. He said that. He was talking 2 weeks ago about a Ryan Kent replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the two biggest problems for me right now: defence and the lack of width.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, looking at Rangers, it's clear as day that is the issue. I mean, when all the kind of rumours came out about Balogun signing, and folk were obviously losing their mind about it because the defence really just, it needs somebody like you say, Austin Trusty to come in,
It needs somebody natural.
Yeah,
in that position.
And Balogun's coming back in a free deal. Obviously, by that point, Leon King was supposedly out for the full season, so you understood why Balogun came in. But it's to the point, as you say, we're at the end of the transfer window. The last day is tomorrow, and we have yet to go and really look like we're going to actually spend any money on a defence that, as you say, under Michael Beale's tenure thus far, has been really, really poor in terms of the goals we've lost. One that I think, off the top of my head, is obviously we got to win the game in extra time, but Aberdeen in the semi-final of the cup as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you could count in your two hands. Like, you've not even got enough fingers to count how many mistakes there's been from a defensive standpoint, and three of them are into their sixth season playing together, and that's
the problem.
That's a major issue for me. I mean, you've obviously got Ridvan Yilmaz, who I think, looking at him, I've liked what I saw. He's just been injured a lot, and it's not really went the way him so far. Dujon Sterling, it's really, really premature to really see what he's got to offer yet. And then obviously Ben Davies is deemed kind of surplus to requirements at the moment, but it might become a point where we need to focus him in as one of our options if he stays beyond tomorrow. And I just feel the defence is really, really, it's concerning how weak we are back there.
The fourth goal, now, I don't think Joey Veerman is the nicest of characters, I think, to put it mildly, but he's bloody good at football. And I think over the two legs, he deserved his goal. But again, why is nobody closing him down? Why is he getting that amount of space? I thought Teze, the fullback for PSV, he's going to go for millions. He's a really, really good player, but that's a goal completely avoidable again. But then, and this is a problem, when that Rangers back line, and I'm looking at Tavernier and Goldson now, I'm not going to go out and question their character because I don't think that's fair, because they have brought a lot to the club, but they've been there during bad times. So when their heads go down, it's very difficult to get them back up. And I think we see it with this goal. This fourth goal is so avoidable, but it's because the game's gone that this happens.
Nah, it's again, it's just it's at that point of the game now where you've got a glimmer of hope coming back into it. They just fight back. We obviously the third, and the heads just kind of go down after that. There's no spirit in this Rangers side that thinks they can go on and take anything else for that game. And I think we're really weak mentally in terms of that as well. I've seen our heads go down multiple times. Tavernier again is one of the main sort of culprits for that, and he's your captain. And we've kind of went in a merry-go-round about this for years about Tavernier and his status as captain, and what it'll go on for years. Even when he's left the club, it'll go on, the debate about James Tavernier. But it's just totally avoidable, and the nails in the coffin after that one, and then the fifth just piles on embarrassment.
Yep, it certainly does. The fifth one, I've seen Butland getting the blame for it. It's not a good pass from Butland, but why Goldson's passing it back to him, I don't know. One thing you don't do in that situation, you drive, especially if you're 4-1 down, you drive the ball forward, you don't give it back to the goalkeeper. What on earth? And it just summed the night up, didn't it? I'm not going to spend too much time in that because the game was done. One thing after that, though, is he brings off Rabbi Matondo with, I think it was about 5 minutes to go, and brings on Ryan Jack. Now, I found that completely baffling. Now, the game's done. It doesn't matter, but yes, you're certainly not going to get the game back, but what is the point in bringing Ryan Jack on with 5 minutes to go when you're 5-1 down? That to do what? And then I was looking to because he had Jack, Lundstrom, Cifuentes, Cantwell, all in the park, and I'm like, what on earth is that meant to be? Who's playing where?
Mm-hmm.
That's what worries me about that setup. And it Lammers and Danilo there, and obviously it's by the end of the game, nothing's really mattering. But that sub, I don't get. I don't get what on earth that is all about.
No, I think on Michael Beale's head, the kind of vision I'll have is his damage limitation at that point. He's getting another centre back on,
but it's 5-1 anyway.
But it's 5-1.
Exactly.
It's 5-1. It's the game's gone. Just keep Rabbi Matondo on for the full 90 minutes. He showed promise. He showed that he can do things. He obviously hit the post with a good run and stuff like that. Keep him on for the full 90. What's going to change there? Ryan Jack doesn't need to come on for the last 5 minutes. There was arguments he probably should have started the game anyway. But again, that's another one.
I would have started him before Lundstrom because I thought it was fine against the PSV in the first leg. But it goes to this problem now. When we did the first show of this new podcast, I remember saying at the time, the 3rd of September is so important. If Rangers don't get into the Champions League, I don't think it's a disaster for the simple reason domestically is more important. But he has to have a 100% record going into that game domestically. That was what I kept saying. He lost against Kilmarnock. I thought did really well to go into the PSV second leg with a chance because I thought PSV were a really, really good side who will do well in the Champions League. But it's the way the Kilmarnock defeat, it's the way they lost against PSV that the pressure is now nuclear on Michael Beale. Now, there's too much invested in him to pull the trigger if it's a defeat on Sunday, but if Celtic win, who are under just as much pressure as Rangers, by the way, because things aren't rosy over there, the problems will just fester. And we saw last year with the manager, just when you have bad results and when you look foolish, when you get tactics wrong, the Rangers fans won't just, no matter the investment, no matter how much has been spent, it just won't work. And Sunday is so important, but to be in that position is bad for me because he shouldn't have. The game against Kilmarnock, the goal's ridiculous against Kilmarnock, but the tactics that day were shocking, and PSV was the same. Though the two, I said, as long as everything's respectable going into that Celtic game, there won't be a lot of pressure on Michael Beale in that game. Yeah. There is massive pressure on him now, and it's 100%, self-inflicted, 100%.
Yeah, it's the way Michael Beale is a divisive character for me yet so far in his Rangers career because he wasn't the guy that I first thought he when I wanted to replace Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He was always an option. I kind of wanted to go down a different route and just get a guy who knew nothing about any player that we had and just played a total wipeout. If you say, I thought it was kind of right. Fair play. We'll see what he's like. Obviously, he was getting touted with Wolves and stuff. So you're like, right, let's see what we can do. Obviously, we had moments in that early tenure he has, and he lost big games and stuff. But I think even with those results, you kind of held the hope that right, he's going to get his own players. There's going to be a massive clear out and whatever. We play his way when he gets his own team in. It's just not happened for me so far. And as you say, Kilmarnock was just a joke. Starting in the first game of the season and playing so poorly, and there's obviously people talk about the pitch and stuff, but it's not even an argument. We were shocking. And the minimum you're expecting to go into this Celtic game is with a 100% record. Michael Beale's been kind of offered a lifeline with how Celtic have performed in the past 2 weeks. He's been offered a lifeline in terms of obviously you can go 2 points ahead of them or whatever if you get the victory. That could be massive, 100%. The Champions League wasn't as big a thing as it is beating Celtic. Of course, it's not the money and the finance that comes with the Champions League to improve your team is. But obviously, drop them into the Europa League, pot one now and stuff. That's fine. Leave that as is. We'll see what the draw is like tomorrow. It's the manner, as you say, that we lose these games in and the way we perform in the games for large parts. We sometimes don't even create a chance. We don't look potent in any form of the game plan, and that's where I kind of struggle to get my feeling for Michael Beale at the moment, because I really don't see, when the chips are kind of stacked against you, I don't see how he kind of turns it around.
And here's the gobsmacking thing to me, and it's something that I've heard addressed and totally agree with, and it was a point raised the other day. When we thought of Michael Beale before he took the Rangers manager job, he was perceived to be the man responsible for 55 from a tactical point of view. What do we think of when we think of that 55 season? We think of a 4-3-3 with width. Where's that now? Why has he been off that? Why when he's got that view was successful because Rangers won a league. So why go away from that? Now, it might not all be him, but he saw that method work. He knows it's got potential. He was playing it mostly last season until the split. What's made him go off that course now? The worry for me is that if he then goes back to a 4-3-3, he's brought in 11 million in Dessers and Danilo. The two of them can't play in a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Unless one of them plays out of position. So it then leads to the point, what's he signed both them for if they're... And I don't get... To me, Danilo should be starting every game. Not just because of his price tag, because I think you have to go with him and Dessers and Roof on Saturday. Now, that is going to sound... My team prediction just out there, by the way, is going to sound mental. But please go with me on it, because I think it makes sense in my head, but he has to play all three. Now, the problem I have with Michael Beale right now is that I don't see a system that works, but the system that's worked in the past, he seems to have went completely off course on, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, no, that's a big point to make, actually, because you think obviously that's our most successful season we've had in recent memory.
Yeah.
We win the league, we go unbeaten, we look dominant in all fronts, really. We get a couple of bad results in Europe in the Cup and whatever. On another day, you kind of look at them and think, right, we could have went and done a lot more in those competitions. You say Aribo maybe even getting pushed into the right hand side worked, and Hadji being there, Roof kind of playing off as well. Like, it worked. Everything was perfect. And as you say, we've went totally away from playing wingers anyway. I just don't understand the viewpoint on that as a start. I think for me anyway, I know it could be, we've not really played three at the back before, but all the players we have suits a system where we play three at the back and we push our two full-backs up to where we would really kind of play wingers, take the onus off them a wee bit defensively so they can attack, have the kind of cover in the back line. I just don't understand why we've never really saw that. We kind of saw it towards the end of last season where he was experimenting a wee bit, and there was that kind of thought that was to come, but I mean, we've not even signed a centre-half that can go and play in a three at the moment, so... It's worrying. It is really worrying, concerning for me where we're really going, because as you say, 55 season. I mean, it worked, and everyone was it was positive, and you could rely on us keeping goals out, but also obviously scoring.
It's obviously the last day of the transfer window. While we're recording this on the Thursday, the show's going out on the Friday, so we will be putting this out on deadline day. Outgoings, Hadji's out and loan to Alaves. Fabrizio Romano's just reported that Glenn Kamara is off to Leeds. It's done. Regarding outgoings, the only one I can see potentially leaving is Ben Davis. Maybe Leon King in a season-long loan. I'm not having a Scott Wright dig here, but the fact he's still at the club.
Yeah. No, but say going into his third or fourth season with Rangers, I mean, that's just a massive warning sign in its own. I think we're probably up there with some of the worst teams I've ever seen able to sell players. I mean, Scott Wright's sort of off to Turkey getting interviewed in the airport by Sky Sports, and the next minute he's in training with Rangers again. You're wondering what's happened here. Why is there no other suitors for him? And is it because we've placed their asking price too high and they're not willing to kind of reduce that? Are we stubborn in the market? I don't know what the ins and outs yet are, but the fact is there's a few players at that club that don't deserve to be there anymore. They've shown they're not good enough, and we needed to replace them. Glenn Kamara is obviously one of them. He has been good for Rangers, but it's clearly
a brilliant piece of business, but
it's good business in terms of obviously the fee we're
had
getting.
Had to go. His time is up. Now, incomings now. Again, we might be way off the mark overnight, but Do you think Harry Souttar's happening?
I think it would be really close to the deadline if it does. What I kind of always read on this, it's not really been reported by any sort of major outlets, really. It's kind of just been kind of lingering there, and there's been fan media who've said it is happening and fan media saying, no, we've spoke to the club and it isn't happening. So that one is kind of hit or miss. Obviously, Leicester, I think, are kind of want to recoup some of the money they get for him first off.
15 million they spent on him in January, by the way.
It's crazy money. It's crazy
Ridiculous.
money. But if we can get him in a season-long loan, I think it'd be towards the end of the window if they don't get any bids in for him. I think it'd be good. I think he's shown in the World Cup and stuff. I've not seen too much of him for Leicester in the Premier League anyway, but he's shown that he can come up here and hopefully do a job for us and maybe then transition into that back three. So I think it would be smart to bring him in for a year. I don't know if he fits into the homegrown quota. I think there's a whole feed on if he does or not because he's previous allegiances to Scotland and whatever, but I think it'd be smart to bring him in. Obviously, we're all kind of looking for a wide man as well, but there's nothing reported so far, so I can't see too much happening tomorrow.
I think tomorrow could be really, really strange. And I think in a best case scenario, I think we might see one. I don't think we'll see more than that. So let's move into Sunday. It's going to be a massive game. I don't think I've seen as big a game for both sides in a long, long time. I don't think Celtic are in the best position for this game. I think Rangers need to exploit that. I think Rangers have to look at this game and go, this is the one chance Rangers have to go above Celtic, inflict a bit of pressure on Brendan Rodgers, which they never done the first time. And this is now the time. Now, regarding team setup, can I share what I want? What it won't happen.
Go for it.
I don't care if Borna Barisic is fit. Do not start him because he will get run ragged by Leela Bada. I'm already fearing it. No matter if he's fit, don't play him. I'm going to go 3 at the back.
Right.
Sterling, Goldson, Suter. Right. Isn't the best, but go with me on it.
Yep.
Tavernier at right wing back. Matondo at left wing back.
Right.
Raskin sitting as like a number 6 with Jack alongside him. So
right.
Raskin and Jack is like a 2, so a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3, shall we say? Cantwell, Roof and Danilo.
I don't think that's too kind of left field as you would think, because I think that
it won't happen, but
but aye.
I do. There's also part of me that thinks he should just play Danilo, Dessers, and Roof, but he won't do that. So, but my team in my head makes a bit of sense, but it won't go for that.
Nah, I can't see Michael Beale taking too many risks with his team selection. He's going to kind of go for guys.
There's 2 reasons I would go for it. I think you need to throw every attacking threat you can. I think you need to have Roof and Danilo going for Celtic centre backs, because whether it's going to be Lager Bielka and the new boy Phillips, that partnership's never played before. So you have to try and exploit that. Greg Taylor's a weak link. Alistair Johnston's coming off an injury. I think Johnston's been pretty good against Rangers, but I think this is the time to really try and have a go at him, because he's not fit. He's brought in because they don't have anybody else good enough in that position. Celtic's defence is the weakest it's ever been. In terms of this setup. Carter Vickers has been the rock against Rangers. He's not there. The boy Nawrocki looks a good player. That partnership that Celtic will have, whether it's Lager Bielka or Phillips, or they go with Liam Scales, it's not a partnership that's just each other. So I think you have to exploit it. I would start Danilo over Dessers in that game, because I think Danilo's pace might just be the better option.
Yeah, I think Danilo is just clearly the better all-round player as well. I mean, Dessers can he can run, he can put yards into the game. I don't think he's technically great. I mean, I don't think he's really even physically great, to be quite honest with you. I think Danilo will offer you a different dimension, and he has to start. You need to go and start Danilo in these big games now. We've seen Dessers, he's not really done much. It's time for a switch up in that position. I do believe he kind of will go with 2 up top. Roof, I think, is a nailed-on starter, to be honest. And Matondo would be somebody I'd really like to go and see play, because obviously you're saying Alistair Johnston, he's he's coming back for a long-term injury, and he's going to have a guy like Rabbi Matondo running him all day. I think could be something we could look at. As you say, the centre halves, the two strikers need to be on them at all times. We've seen in the last Old Firm game at Ibrox for Fashion Sakala's goal. I mean, we pressed them and we won the ball back and we scored a goal. So it can happen. And Greg Taylor as well. Their defence is shocking. Let's not. Their defence at the moment is in a really weak state that we
But
cannot
they'll be saying
afford
that.
to.
They'll be saying the exact same about Rangers. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They'll be saying the exact same about Rangers.
Yeah. So that's in a way it is can our attack get by their weak defence, and can their good attack get by our kind of weak defences? It's a difficult one to be called, really. I think the team selection is going to be.
Go for yours. What's yours? What would you play for Michael Beale?
So I think he'll go Butland. I think he'll kind of stay with the same kind of formation. I think he'll go Butland, Tavernier, Goldson, Suter. I think Sterling will come in at left back as kind of that cover. I think in the midfield, I do think he'll go with Raskin, Lundstrom and Jack, and he'll put Cantwell out to kind of right wing role. He'll play.
The thought of Lundstrom and Jack in the same team just terrifies me.
I know. I think he's going to go for guys that he can kind of rely on in the fixture, if you will. I would like to play two up top, but I also want to play Matondo as well. So the forward line for me is just kind of free for all, to be honest. It can go either way. I kind of don't like the idea of being narrow, but then you kind of need to push one out wide if you did. I can't a formation of Cantwell, Matondo, Danilo or Roof, kind of between all four of them. I think for the position, I don't feel that Dessers starts. Sam Lammers obviously came on and done well, but I don't think he kind of wants a start yet. It's difficult to pick an attacking three at the moment because we've been so lacklustre up there.
Give us a score prediction. I'm going to sit in the fence for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You go. You're the guest. On you go.
Well, I think it's obviously at Ibrox. You've got a full house of Rangers fans who are now going to be very angry if it doesn't go our way. We need to start the game fast. We need to impose ourselves on Celtic. We need to look like a team that's going to cause them problems. I want to see us go out there and really exploit Celtic for how weak they've been the past couple of weeks, and I'm going to go for 3-1 to Rangers.
Interesting. Well, it's going to be a massive occasion on Sunday. We are going to be back next week for full post-match analysis. On Saturday, we'll have a special preview of the Old Firm game that will be on the website, and obviously on Monday we will have the player ratings, and we will obviously have up-to-date news on on deadline day. If anything comes up, obviously you'll be the first to know. Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, and here's hoping for a good one on Sunday.
Aye, thanks very much for having us. Cheers.
Thank you very much to everyone tuned in. Please follow us on social media and like the YouTube and podcast channels. Cheers.